Hello and welcome to the latest, hang on a minute, let's start again so we can hear it ourselves think. Bloody hell. Right, let's try that again. Hello and welcome to the latest Lukozer PC game review video, and for this one, well, I did say at the first of these videos that I may occasionally go back and do some older ones. Well, I don't get that much older than Age of Empires 2. This one is specifically a re-released version that came out either last year, maybe the year before. Age of Empires 2 HD edition, and it also has a brand new expansion pack for it called The Forgotten, which introduces further nations, additional campaign scenarios and blah blah blah. So yes, despite the age, there is still some relatively new content for it. I mean, how old is this game now? It must have come out, what, 15 years ago, something like that, maybe even longer than that. Anyway, let's get a game started. This is actually the training, the tutorial campaign where you play as the Scots. Now, I'll give you a word of warning: if you are Scottish, the following attempt at a Scottish accent is likely to be quite insulting. So, here we go.
Age of Empires 2. We are without a leader. The dead King of Scotland has no heir. War creeps in from the south, where Edward Longshanks, the avaricious King of England, has returned from successful campaigns to conquer Wales and France. As Longshanks turns his attention to Scotland, the shadow of fear settles across the Highlands. The English have thousands of Welsh longbowmen, hundreds of knights on horseback, and dozens of siege weapons. We Scottish have a rabble of untrained soldiers who do not even know how to march in a straight line. We must act soon if we have any chance of resistance. We need to forge an army by any means necessary.
I did warn you about the accent. So here we have the basics of how to play the game.
Terrorizing all of Scotland, and it's time for us to fight back. But if we're to defeat them, every one of us will need to learn how to march and fight. Follow the path to the blue flag. First, click the soldier. Good! Now, right-click near the blue flag. Good!
Okay.
Now, move to the next flag. Click the soldier, then right-click near the flag. Excellent! Right. To move to the next flag...
I have a feeling that choosing this early on in the tutorial wasn't a good idea. So what I'll do
represents unexplored territory.
Is quit this current game, and what I'll set up a single player one. Right. Right, so yeah, it's all random. We'll just have one enemy. We'll have the location somewhere that I'm not a big fan of locations that have water. I don't usually bother with that too much. We'll make it tiny so it'll be easy to find everybody. Right, here we go. I mean, surely everybody knows how to play Age of Empires 2. So we'll you need to gather various resources such as food, which is what this one is gathering here from these berries, wood, which this one is gathering from trees. You also need to find stone, which you can mine, and gold, which you also mine. Right, let's... this here is a scout, which helps you to find said... well, find anything really. It doesn't just need to... you don't just use it to find stone and gold or whatever. You can find, well, anywhere on the map there is some stone. So we'll use this area here to create more villagers. It costs 50 food to recruit villagers, and as you can see here I have 220 food, so I've got no problem with that. So we'll create another 2. One can mine the stone that I found, and the other can oh, there's some gold there as well, so now we can also use that second villager that I recruited to mine the gold. Now it's saying there that the population limit has been reached, so you need to build a house, and that will increase your population cap. I think it's either 5 or 10 per house built. We'll soon find out. There we go. So that's increased it by 5. So now she can go and build or mine the stone. So what we'll do, we'll build a mining camp, so she doesn't have so far to travel. In the meantime, this villager can go and mine the gold. We'll build a mining camp for him, so that he doesn't have so far to go. And we can do the same for these other 2 here. So if we build a lumber camp, she can then drop off the wood at the lumber camp instead of having to travel all the way back to the town centre here. And the same with this one. If we build a mill, then food can be dropped off there, which is closer to the main, or closer to where these berries are than the town centre is here. So while they're all doing that, we can do this upgrade here, researching the loom, which costs 50 gold, and that makes the villagers harder to kill. So that's being done. Each of these buildings here, when you advance in age, will give you various upgrades so that they can gather resources faster, and so on and so on. Really, it's your bog standard you know, real-time strategy game. Of course, the difference is that when this came out, there wasn't really that much like it. You basically had this, you had obviously the first Age of Empires game, and you had, I guess, you had bloody Warcraft. And I'm going to make myself quite unpopular here, but I have never been a fan of Warcraft at all. I don't have enough wood to build the barracks yet. Barracks needs 175 wood, and I have 90, I think it says. No, it doesn't. It says I have... Actually, I can't see because the bloody symbol showing that I'm recording is in the way. It looks like I only have 60. So that villager that I've just created can go and help with the wood gathering. But you know, once you have built the barracks, you then can start recruiting an army, and again it's a case of well, upgrading them, if and when you like, and then it's a case of let's go and see if we can find the enemy. So indeed, let's do that. We'll send the scout over to where I suspect the enemy camp is and see what happens to him there. Now, I am playing this game quite slowly, and yeah, I am rather taking my time, and as a result I don't have anything like the resources I would normally have by now. Normally I would be, you know, a lot further ahead than this. The scout is still heading along trying to find, as I say, I'm assuming that the enemy camp is around this area. I have another villager. Now there's the enemy scout there in red. So he's found my camp just at the same time as I found his. Well, yeah, I've just reached the outskirts of his camp here. There's his lumber mill. So no surprise at all, the enemy is in the opposite corner. There's his main... I mean, I could actually try and attack it. Probably wouldn't be a good idea. Yeah, I'm getting... yeah, didn't last very long. Right, so my population cap has been reached again, so let's build another house. So, well, I mean, I think you've got a pretty, you know, good idea of what the game's all about. See if I can, yeah, I can now build the barracks, so let's stick that there. And I can then at least build something resembling an army, and you get to see what that's all about. This being the barracks, it's just your foot soldiers, but later on you can build stables for like cavalry, and siege workshop for like siege weapons, and you can also build a castle. It's a heavily fortified building, obviously, and that will allow you to what am I doing? He's gone, hasn't he, the scout? At the castle you're able to then recruit a unique unit to your particular civilization, whoever it is. So, despite its age, it is quite a it is quite a, well, I wouldn't say it's complicated. It's not a complex game in that regard. It's not difficult to play. It is, you know, comparatively simple to play, but it's one of those games where it's easy to pick up and play. It's extremely difficult to master, not least because the enemy AI is extremely good. They are much better than most other games where the AI is pretty pathetic, especially in the like more modern gaming. So in that regard, it's well, it was certainly impressive for its time. It's still it's still really impressive because they've actually, you know, taken that bold step of actually making the game challenging. So, okay, let's see if my 4-man militia, which doesn't really have a chance, but will give you a basic idea of what it's like to go into combat by having them heading out there and trying to attack the enemy town centre. Now obviously just 4 militia don't have a hope in hell. They're not going to destroy that town centre. They're going to get killed off in no time. This is just to give you an idea of what the combat is like. The strategy element of the game is probably the most advanced of any RTS I've played. You do actually have to put quite a bit of thought behind your strategy, because otherwise you're going to find yourself, well, in the situation that I am basically putting myself in, which is where you waste resources and recruiting an army, and then the army gets killed off, almost straight away. So you do need to watch what you're doing. Well, the town centre has taken some damage, but not much. And so that was my militiamen all killed off. So, well, I mean, you've got a good idea of how to play it. I mean, if you didn't know how to play Age of Empires 2, then, well, you must be extremely new to PC gaming. So, what do I think of it? Well, the HD edition, it doesn't have anything new in it, at least not if you just get the HD edition alone. If you get the expansion of the Forgotten, then it's, then it does have more there. Actually, there is something that the HD edition has. The HD edition has not only the original Age of Empires 2, Age of Kings game, but it also has the expansion that came with it, which I can't for the life of me remember what it was called. And then, of course, you get the Forgotten as another expansion on top of that. So it's the most comprehensive version of Age of Empires 2. Graphically, the only thing that the HD edition brings in is, well, as the name would suggest, high definition. Here it supports 2560 by 1440 on my computer natively without any problems. And that's the only change. The rest of the graphics are just as they were when the game first came out. The music has changed. It's louder, noticeably louder, but that's the only change audibly. Everything else is still the same as it was. So it's basically just the classic game with support for higher definition. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it's certainly not, a bad thing, because the original game is great. I've always been a huge fan of Age of Empires 2. I think it's the best of the Age of Empires series by a mile. But it would have been nice if it had had a little bit of a facelift. Although having said that, I mean, the graphics are by no means terrible, and RTS is not a game genre where graphics are vital. There are a lot of other aspects of real-time strategy games that are far more important than graphics. The computer AI is extremely good, so you will have quite a challenge ahead of you when you're playing. So I consider that to be an extremely good thing, especially compared to, say, a lot of the modern games where the AI is about as challenging as a fucking wet sponge. So yeah, the gameplay, it's your typical RTS gameplay, which, you know, I'm a fan of. I enjoy playing them. You'll never hear me criticising it. So what do I rate it? I would give it 8.5 out of 10. I'd say this is probably the best RTS game that's ever existed. And although there are, you know, several other RTS games that are superb, like say Supreme Commander 1 and 2, they're just not as good as this one. This really is the de facto RTS game. So do I recommend it? Yes, you know, without hesitation. Of course I recommend it. It's fantastic, and I think if you get it on Steam now, it can be bought quite cheaply. So, you know, if you didn't get it back in the day, then now is the perfect time to go ahead and get it. So there you go, Age of Empires 2, 8.5 out of 10, definitely recommended, classic game, and still is. So there we go, that brings this review to an end, and we'll see you at the next one.